Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. وأفضل الصلاة وأتم تسليما على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ورضي الله تعالى عن السادات القادمين العلماء العالمين والأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلدين عند يوم الدين آمين. So we're going to continue in the alhdari, Mukhtasar alhdari. We reached up to chapter 8, which is now the chapter 8 is things protected. Things prohibited by Janabah. So we discussed what Janabah was, its asbab, uh, what Janabah is, and what you do to remove that Janabah. We know that Janabah is major ritual impurity, and it's removed with ghusl. It's one of the things that necessitates ghusl. And the two causes we know are the release of many, whether through normal sexual pleasure, asleep or awake, or by intercourse of any other means. And then the second is once the male genitalia enters the female genitalia, you are now in Janabah, you must take ghusl. So now Sheikh Akhtani is going to discuss when you're in Janabah, what are the things you can't do in terms of your ibadah. So he says, one in a state of Janabah is not permitted to enter the masjid or recite the Quran except an ayat or the like for seeking protection or the like. So, and obviously when we say the Quran, we're talking about the Mus'haf, all Arabic Quran, the Mus'haf. The reason why this is a point to, well, not even that, it says to recite the Quran, so it's not really about touching, so that's the verb. Reciting the Quran meaning like you can't open the Quran and just read it to do tilawah to recite just for dhikr or because you want to or for a prayer or something. The only time you can recite when you can recite from the Quran is if you're seeking like protection to do a ruqyah or you're explaining something to somebody like, oh, no, the reason we don't do that is because Allah says blah 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 blah, and then you recite the ayah. Other than that, just plain tilawah or qira'ah or just like general recitation of the Quran or for acts of worship or anything like that, you are prohibited from doing this while you're in Janabah, which is major impurity, a major state of impurity. So, and there is some shuyukh have khilaf on what a masjid actually is. You have a markaz, which is an Islamic center, and then you have masjid. So what some people consider a masjid is different. Some of the buildings you might walk in and they don't consider that first entryway a part of the masjid. They may have a sectional area where you can sit or be in the building, and it's not technically the musalla where there's prayer. So there's khilaf on this. But in general, if you are in Janabah, you should not be in the masjid. Whether it's the hallway, stay away from the masjid. To be safe, to respect the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make sure that you are in a state of tahara, you're in a state of purity. When you enter Baytullah, it's the masjid, the hallway, the stairway, where the shoes are kept. It's all a masjid. Is there for the purpose of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or should be for the purpose of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So stay away. So when it's a masjid, it's clearly a masjid. You know it's a masjid outside of the khilaf. You stay away from it. It's prohibited for you to enter or be in it or to recite the Quran outside of those exceptions, which would be like seeking protection, or explaining something to somebody on those two, like those are the type of exceptions. But just plain flat out recitation of the Quran, no, it's not permissible if you are in Janabah according to Sheikh Akbar, according to the school of Imam Malik. Also, he says, it is likewise not permissible for one who is inhibited from using cold water to have intercourse with his spouse unless he makes ample arrangements for hot water. Now he's speaking about the one who would be using cold water would make you sick or sicker than you already are. It would be a harm for you. This is the person is not permissible for him to have intercourse with his wife because you can't clean yourself properly. You're not going to be able to take ghusl before you do this act. So this now the act of intercourse with your spouse becomes haram for you with the intention of knowing that you can't take ghusl afterwards. Because the prayer is going to come, the prayer is going to be obligatory. You have to remove the khabath. You have to remove this major state of impurity that you're in. So and remove the najasa that came with it. You did this sexual act, your genitalia went into the female genitalia, you automatically now it's Janabah now. Then on top of that, you may have released many. Now, so both reasons. Now you have both. You've reached both causes for both of the causes for janaba, and there's only one way to remove janaba with ghusl. So this is what he's saying. He's saying if you have sex with your wife, knowing that you're not going to be, that you only have cold water and you can't use that cold water for, you'll be sick for some type of medical reason or a reason you wouldn't be able to use that water, then you can't sleep with your wife or your husband until you make arrangements to make sure you have the kind of water you can use to remove the impurity. So this is a mas'ala. This is like a situation. Basically, it is prohibited for a person to voluntarily go into a state of janaba that knowing that they can't come out of that state in time to perform obligations which require it, like the prayer. So this goes even into our adab and how we deal with our day-to-day life. For those of us, especially in the West, like when you're going to do haram with a girl or whatever you about to go do, if you knowingly doing it and it's going to put you in a state of janaba, this will make one bring itself to account. Now you got to remember, Lord, this is where your attack will come in. I'm gonna go lay up and do this haram with this person, knowing that the prayer is gonna come in, maybe even while I'm doing this act, and I can't take janaba. It's not even, I mean, take ghusl. It's not permissible because you intentionally, you know you don't have no way to take the ghusl, and then you intentionally go do something that will cause you to be in janaba. You masturbated knowing you had no way to remove the najis. You had no way to take ghusl. Remember, ghusl is what removes janaba, not wudu, not tayammum. Ghusl. The tayammum is only in the specific circumstances. It doesn't remove hadath. It just is a temporary, basically like a root is a temporary permissibility to make you be able to pray because you can't find water until you finish that prayer and then go try to find water for the prayer. You have to do tayammum for each prayer. It doesn't remove hadath. It's just like a temporary fix. It's like a bandage, basically. But the goal is to remove the 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 najasa from your body, from your clothes, to take ghusl. That's what you should be striving to do. So if you intentionally go and put yourself in janaba knowing you can't take yourself out of it, this is impermissible. This is impermissible. Uh, because, like for example, prayer. You know you can't remove the janaba. You can't take yourself out of the state of janaba, and you knew the prayer was coming on. You did what you did anyway. This is haram because as the Prophet ﷺ said, in the malamalu bin niyati wa in the ma'amra'u manawa. In every deed is commensurate with bias intention, and everyone will have that which you intend. You intended, you knew you had the intention to do what you did, and you knew the prayer was coming in. That's why it's impermissible because you're not doing this unknowingly. You're responsible for what you do when you know what you're doing. So, and he says if he has wet dreams, however, there is no blame on him for not washing. So you can't intentionally go into janaba knowing you can't make ghusl, only tayammum. This is the general rule. But for a wet dream, the person had a wet dream, you didn't intentionally have the dream. So the fact that you knew prior that you couldn't make ghusl is excused because you were asleep and the wet dream wasn't intentional. This person can also still go to his wife and make tayammum and go pray. So this is the exemption to that. I don't have a way to remove this the hadath or the khabath. I don't have any way to remove this, and I'm in a major state of impurity. I'm in janaba, but I because I had a wet dream, I was asleep. I had no control over that. This person can make tayammum and be able to pray and be with their spouse. This is the exception when it was unintentional. The hot water's off when we're in a situation where we have no other way but tayammum. We have no water, no running water or whatever the problem is. I went to sleep. I had a sexual dream. I released men. Now I gotta pray. I didn't want to release many. I knew I couldn't take ghusl. I take tayammum. It's permissible for this person. This is a mercy from Allah because your intention was good. Your intention was not to ejaculate. Your intention was to go to sleep. So this is the exception to this rule. So this is the basic chapter for that's the whole chapter. You know what I mean? That's the entire chapter of what's prohibited by Janabah. So what's prohibited by Janabah is, as we stated before, once you're in the state of Janabah, is not permitted to enter the masjid to recite the Quran, except an ayah or the like to seek the protection. So that's the exception to that. You can't recite the Quran unless for a reason, like seeking protection, doing ruqya, explaining something, if you're teaching somebody something in general, something like that, and you're quoting the Quran for that purpose. But outside of that, the general recitation, you love to recite the Quran or certain Janabah, you cannot do this. Uh, it is likewise not permissible for one who is in his. So, and also that you can, if you know you don't have access to the water that you would need, you don't have access to not mutlaq to be able to take ghusl, and you intentionally go into a state of janaba, this is not permissible. This is haram. Tayammum would not be permissible. You did it. You did something haram. And then for the one who unintentionally has this happen, though they have no way to take ghusl, this person can take tayammum, and this person can be intimate with their spouse, and this person can offer the prayer. So this is the exception to the rule. So you have the rule, and then you have those exceptions to the rule. So you have the rule of Janabah, you can't enter a masjid. That's clear cut. If you know it's a masjid, it's been agreed upon, that's the masjid. You can't go. Man or woman, if you're in Janabah, you cannot recite the Quran. The exception to that hukum is what? If you're teaching something, ruqya, seeking protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These things are still permissible because you still want to have a lot of protection, no matter what stage you're in. You always want a lot of protection, inshallah, whether you're in a state of purity or impurity. You know what I'm saying? So, and then we know the hukum that if you intentionally go into janaba knowing you can't take ghusl, this is haram. But if you unintentionally go into janaba and you're unable to take ghusl and you knew but prior to that you couldn't take ghusl, this is the exception to the rule, and you are allowed to take tayammum, and you are allowed to do your acts of ibadah. You are even allowed to be with your spouse, because normally you're not allowed to be with, you have to take ghusl again and be pure, and then be intimate with your spouse. Because if once you enter the woman, you're in janaba. She's in janaba. You have to take ghusl now. In order to do anything that requires purity, you have to take ghusl. So this is what's clear that Sheikh Akhdari explained. I don't want to really, I don't really want to go too much into that. Hold on one second, excuse me. Okay. Yeah, well, the class for short, so I just want to share some short benefits with everyone. A little bit of benefit from class I took with Sheikh Salih bin Sayyidina, when he was explaining the hadiths of Al-Arba'in, like Nawawi, rahimahullah, the 40 hadiths. But just this point I want to share because of what the Sheikh talked about with the intention. We learned about when someone intentionally goes into janab knowing they can't go out of it. I just wanted to share some benefit about intentions. So we have to always pay attention to our intention. What is the intent behind our actions? Are they for ibadullah? If so, they need to be done after learning the correct way, because ilm comes before action, as stated by Imam Bukhari and Sahih. So we always have to pay attention to our intention. Why are you doing something? And if you're doing it for to worship Allah, if you're doing it to emulate Prophet, in order for you to do this correctly, you must learn first. But if your intention is sincere, then you have to learn. Because if you sincerely want to do something the right way, you sincerely want to uh, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you sincerely want better from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you sincerely want to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you must learn what those things mean and how to go about those things. Because those things have conditions, they have obligations, they have impermissibilities, they have impossibilities, they have realities, they have disciplines that go along with them to achieve those goals of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, of following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sincerely, of loving Allah and His Messenger sincerely. There's a correct way to go, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's a correct way to go about these things, and it starts with your intention. So anything that you do, a majlis, any action, a marriage, anything that you do should be preceded by learning and following that learning in accordance with the Sharia properly. What does that mean? The Sheikh said that. He said that anything you do, building a masjid, a majlis, you get married, any act that you do, it should be preceded by learning and then following that learning in accordance with the Sharia. So what you learn, ilmu nafiya, a beneficial knowledge, is that which increases your khawshiyah of Allah, your fear of Allah, your obedience to Allah, your love for Allah, and your emulation of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and your love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's beneficial knowledge. Su'ud din, that which takes you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that which increases your iman, that which increases your acts of obedience, that which increases your acts of wara against disobedience. So that's what he means. So even with marriage, anything you want to do, you must learn it first, not just the book aspects of it. Oh, I know the conditions. Like a lot of people say, oh, I know my rights in the marriage. But if you ask them what are the conditions and obligations for one to have a sound marriage, they won't know. And they won't have a source to go to get it. This is all a part of learning. That's your fiqh. Marriage is an act, like buying and selling. This is a part of your aspect of your life. Yet we don't study the fiqh of marriage before we enter into marriage. So we enter into the marriage unaware and not properly learned, and then we don't act properly, which is one of the reasons the divorce rate is so high in the Black Muslim community. Most people, they're quick. I know my rights. It's more to marriage than your rights and her rights. And even that has khilaf and differences, and depending on how you taught and what you learn. But the first and foremost, what is the law in reference to marriage? What does the law require one, the man and the woman? What must you be? What must you have? What must you do? What does the law say about these? That's what we must learn first, and you practice it. I want to open a business. How do I go about opening a business as a Muslim? What does the Sharia say about this? What am I selling? How much am I selling it for? Who am I selling it to? Where am I selling it? What do I allow in my business? What don't I allow in my business? What puts me in the haram? What puts me in the makruh? This is what we must learn, because if you want better if you want afiyah, and if you want ajr in this life and the akhirah, you must know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about it. One cannot give that which he does not possess. You must know before you do. Ilm is the imam of amal. And Imam Bukhari said the same thing. He said, ilm comes before action. Knowledge starts. Knowledge first. The first thing the Prophet taught was aqidah, was tawheed. For over 11 years, that's all he taught. Even before Allah revealed the obligation of prayer, all he taught was proper beliefs. Yet people treat learning Aqidah, they read one Aqidah text. I don't need to take any more Aqidah courses, but each text with a qualified teacher, they're gonna bring out different lights, different jewels, different secrets of the text. That's what those when they say may the Sheikh's secrets be protected. The secrets, the benefit knowledge that you won't get by just reading the words. Someone explains it to you and opens it up. This is why the ulama say that when one learns with a qualified teacher, the teacher brings the book to life. You understand better, and you're with that scholar. Whenever you read from a scholar, you're with him. So when we learn these type of things and have this proper understanding, this is what the Sheikh is saying. You have to have the intention, and then you must learn before you do. So this goes with what Sheikh Akhtar said. Knowingly putting yourself in Janabah, knowing you can't take ghusl. This is haram because your intention was incorrect. It's the same thing with taking a trip. The conditions for wiping over the Khufain. If you're taking a haram trip, this you not meeting the requirements. Now it's no longer a rule set for you. There's no easy way for you to go do wrong. You had the intention. You went out to do a haram journey. Why do you think that you are allowed the same concessions that someone who is striving to worship Allah, no obey Allah? Islam is not a joke. Don't work that way. You don't qualify for that. There's conditions. You're not meeting the conditions, and you chose to take a haram journey. So now it's okay for you to wipe over the cuffs and have these shortcuts while you go do haram. You're taking a shortcut to do wrong. It's irrational. These are all types of things that go back to intention. Intention must be class with Allah, sincerely for Allah, and then you must learn and then act. So because if we don't do it this way, then we'll become like a lifeless or soulless body. It's a shell. Everything you're doing has no value. Your words have no merit. There's nothing behind it. It's just a shell. It's just a lifeless body. It's just flesh and bone. If you don't learn first to have the intention in the right place, that's why intention is so important. Intention, you'll see it a lot in faith. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, everything starts with the intention. So what is your intention when you're doing what you're doing? You want to marry this brother, you want to marry this sister, you want to buy these things. I want to buy this certain thing. Why do you want to buy it? Do you need it? This is how you control your money, overspending, being greedy, being materialistic. You have to pray. You have nice things, but you don't have to overdo it. We overdo it. This is where the yeah comes in. Why am I buying this? And if somebody says you spent that much money on such and such, well, you never get him actually that much money. This is my money. I spend it how I want. You're right, but Allah tells us to spend it in His way. So you don't mind dropping $1,500 for a pair of shoes, but you'll never put $1,500 in the You'll never find out what family really is struggling and say, yo, let me give them $1,500 to pay off their bills. Help them. Which young sister is going to school? May help her with her car fare. What young brother's doing something? He's trying to go overseas. I put $700 up for his ticket. Mary's ain't cheap. Celine and all that product ain't cheap. That way everybody rock you right when you walk around with a Montclair one over your toe, but you won't put $5 in the second box. Foreign car, nice watch, nice house. Mashallah. But what are you investing in the community? What are you investing in the future of the Muslim Ummah and as a whole? Everybody complaining about schools and we don't have this, we don't have that. But you don't want to put no. It takes money to get these things done. It takes action. You got to put the work in to build a community. You don't want to see that other community in your neighborhood. Buy up the home. Make sure it's Muslims living where you live. Make it where they don't want to live. You live over here, you're gonna see Islam. We're not going for mini skirts and booty shorts. You're gonna stand out on this block. You might not want to be over here. That's what they do when they gentrify it. This is the neighborhood for the riffraff. We don't sell 40 ounces here. We don't have that here. Maybe you should try the neighborhood further down. That's maybe more your speed. It's the truth. They make it where either you on what they on, or you gotta go, and that's what we need to do. We need to make it where Islam is what we own. And if you're not on Islam, then it's not the place for you. MashaAllah. We're not bending on our truth. But this takes the attention and then the work. We got to put in the work. And the work starts with ourselves. So the point is that these intentions, these purposes, these goals, all of these things you're trying to implement, they need to be implemented according to the Sharia. After learning, and do not be deceived for a moment by what everyone else is doing. As the Sheikh said, if 95% of people are doing something, that means it's probably wrong. Do you believe that what Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam said is true or not? He said Islam began strange and will return to be strange like it began. So glad tidings in paradise for the strangers. That means if you want to be from the people of true Islam, understand your intention will not be correct. Your intention will not be correct, nor your actions, nor your lives, nor your living, nor your marriages, or your prayers, nor any of your actions will be correct nowadays if they're not strange. So I'm gonna repeat that because it might have been choppy. This is what the Sheikh said. He said, Everything you do, all of the things you're trying to implement, they need to be implemented according to the Sharia. After learning, and do not be deceived for a moment by what everyone else is doing, because 95% of what people are doing is wrong. He said, he asked the question, do you believe that what Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam said was true or not? Do you believe what he said in the hadith? What did he say? He said that Islam began strange and it will return to be strange like it began. So glad tidings in paradise for the stranger, for the good or bad. It began strange, it will return to something strange. So glad tidings to the stranger. You're always going to be the weirdo. You're always going to be on the outskirts. You're always going to be different if you are practicing your Islam correctly, even to other Muslims. Traditional opportunity while Jama'ah, the way we're learning, the way we believe, the way we're practicing, this is a revival of Islam. It's the truth. It's a revival of the whole deen for America. I'm not saying like every single person is wrong, but a lot of Muslims do not practice and understand Islam. Like we were not taught correctly. This is all new for all of us. So we have to be realistic on that. We're reviving the deen within ourselves and amongst other people. We're gonna look weird to people. We're gonna look strange to people. What? For school? What you mean you don't do that? Oh, I don't do that. You know what I mean? I don't follow that rule. I get into it all the time, people, because I don't wipe over my cotton socks. Like they want to force you to do it. I said, bro, I don't follow that grammatically. We don't wipe over cotton socks. What does that mean? In the school of fiqh I followed, or where I was taught, we don't consider that meeting the qualifications for a cool thing. That's what I was taught. I wipe my feet. I wash my feet. Therefore, I don't have cuffs, so I keep it plain. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet said, make wudu as Allah has commanded. That doesn't mean I'm knocking anybody that does it, but people be, what is the problem, bro? You wipe over your socks. I don't have to follow that because I was taught what Imam Malik ibn Anas rahimahullah said. Every man can be agreed with or disagreed with except for the one who inhabits this grave. And he was pointing to the grave of the Prophet in the masjid of the Prophet in Medina. He was the Imam of the Hijaz. He's one of the greatest scholars that Islam has ever produced. A mujtahid mutlaq. That's what he said. The scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. They don't inherit, the prophets don't bequeath wealth, they bequeath knowledge. Those who practice and those who learn, teach, and practice what they learn. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them as. This is who he told us to go ask when we don't know something. Ask the people of the remembrance if you don't know. Who are the people of the remembrance? Those who practice the deen, don't just talk it, they live it. Those who remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who are qualified to teach the subject that they teach. So these are the little small silly arguments. We go through this in the West all the time. Wiping over the sides. What colors a woman can wear. How high are the pants. How long the beard. Who has a sajda mark? Who doesn't have a sajda mark? He listens to music. Who doesn't? This, that. Everybody worry about everybody else's business, but they own, because the niyah is not correct. And if you follow a certain ruling and you're around people who don't learn Islam the way you learn it, they don't even know what an ahkam is. They've never had an actual teacher teach them a fiqh text on any level. So to them, everything is either halal, haram, and there's no in between. There is no ikhtilaf with them. Everything is inkar. Everything is blaming, calling somebody that they wrong. They don't understand Aqidah the way you do. They don't understand Nabawiyah the way you do. They don't understand Samiyat the way you do. They don't understand Su'uddin the way you do. They don't understand the Prophet the way you do, because they're not learning from traditional Sunni Islam. That is who the Ghuraba, Akhla Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Prophet said, I'm leaving you with two things, the book of Allah and my Sunnah. Hold on to them firmly. With other wordings, they stick to the Jama'ah. Stick to what I am upon, my companions are upon, and those that follow them, and those that follow them. Who is this at Taif? Who is this sect that will be saved? Akhla Sunnati wal Jama'ah. So this is what we have to understand. So he said that we're going to be strangers. So the Sheikh explained it. He said that means if you want to be from the people of true Islam, not generic Islam, not commercial Islam, not watered down American Islam, not a deficient Islam, not a confused Islam, not a fanatical Islam, true Islam. He said, understand that your intention will not be correct. nor your actions, nor your lives, nor your living, nor your marriages, nor your prayers, or any of your actions will be correct if they're not strange, meaning going with the Quran and the Sunnah correctly. That's what's going to make you strange. Prophet some already foretold us we're the strangers. So when somebody makes you feel like you're the widow, alhamdulillah, that means you're doing something right. You're following the Prophet when you know you learned it correctly with a qualified teacher. You have yaqeen in your religion. I understand what I'm doing. I was taught a certain way. This is what I'm following. I'm not a scholar. I'm more cully doing. I'm a follower of what I'm taught. And I have total confidence in what I'm taught because it comes from an unbroken chain like the Prophet myself. So if that's strange to you, alhamdulillah, I'll be strange. Of course it's strange. They don't dhikr be the bid'ah. Doing dhikr is bid'ah. Having an awrad is bid'ah. Tasawwuf is bid'ah. Or it's a separate religion from Islam and all this other craziness. This is the thing that we're gonna hear. Following one of the four schools of extremism, this is you're madhabi, you're wrong, you're incorrect, you're this, you're that. You see what I'm saying? These are all the things that you're gonna go through. Oh, what you push it? Why you push your kufi up before you prostrate? Now the school it's supposed to have that. You don't have nothing, keeping your face from touching the earth. Why don't you pray your prayer? I pray on the earth, bro. Because the Prophet said a lot of nothing more than when you rise and he sees the dust on your face from the earth and prostrating with him. It's the most noble part of your body. You put it in the dirt in the lowest part of the earth to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your station is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correctly and glorify him. And the best place of glorification, the physical place, is the sujood. Not a big deal. The problem. I don't struggle with this or that, all these different things. People argue, oh, you saying Bismillah out loud and you say, if you don't say Bismillah, that's not true. It's proof for it. What's wrong? He's reciting in the name of Allah. Is it really that? Why is it a problem? Because people only think their way is the only way to learn something. And especially if they learn incorrect, you have a double entendre. You have double trouble there. Because not only is he ignorant, but he's an ignorant person who thinks he knows something. This is the most dangerous type of person. Then you give him a camera and a platform, and people start listening to him. I was like, some foretold about this. This is one of the signs. When the unqualified or the unlearned person will be treated like he'd be a scholar, people will listen to him. You see it every day. People who have no business doing anything. They've never been given any permission, ijazah in paper form, ijazah by word, ijazah on any level. They haven't been transmitted with any knowledge. Nobody gave them permission to teach anything that they teach. And they just jump on the camera and start running their mouth, giving fatwas, and people listening to these people because he might know a little Arabic, because he got a little following, he got some people that support him. When you ask him, who are your teachers? What's your Islam? Who you learn from? And they ain't got to necessarily have left the country. Who did you learn from? You learn from, you just read the book on your own, and this is your own, this is what you came up with. It's not how Islam works. As Abdullah ibn Mubarak, Rahimullah said, he said that the Isnad is from Islam. He said, I think, Isnad is a protection for Islam. Because if it wasn't for the Isnad, people could say whatever they wanted to say about the deen. But that's a protection for it. Where did you get that from? Oh, you say this is that. Where'd you get that from? Where'd he get it from? Where'd he get it from? Show me where it came from the Prophet one of the stuff. Or one of the awliya, one of the Salihin, one of the Mujtahidun that we follow as ijma for us, one of the 40 men. When did they say it? Show me something from any other school or all these thousands of scholars that say what you say. There should be a chain that connects them. And if you don't have that chain that connects them, then what you're saying is not, we cannot validate. It can't be validated whether it's correct, so therefore it's tossed. So this is what he's saying, prepare yourself to be strange. Be one of the strangers if you want to follow the true Islam. He said if they're not opposite of what the majority of what the people are doing. So he says that's going to be strange. You're always going to be doing different. You're going to feel lonely. One of my teachers always said that seeking knowledge is a lonely road. Everybody, this tolerable ilm, don't get caught up in the title. Anybody who's trying to learn their religion is a talib, is a seeker. It also means seeker, not just student. You are a seeker. You are a student of knowledge. When you learn your part on your individual obligations to worship your Lord properly. You don't need to wait for a man. You don't need to wait for a conference. You don't need to wait and hope that it'll fall on your lap. Go get it. Go out there and ask for a teacher. You see qualified brothers. Hey, is this who teach? You get the book. They have it on YouTube. They got YouTube classes or they doing classes. These are qualified teachers. Order the book and go through each class line by line. It works. I've done it. Then you can contact that teacher, contact that person, contact somebody. Hey, I have some questions about this text. I was reading it, I was looking in your classes, and you said, have your questions ready. Take your knowledge serious. Revise your notes, memorize, and then practice what you learn. Take it serious. Treat yourself like you're traveling virtually, right through the internet. I'm traveling. Everywhere time I find a new teacher, I'm traveling to that teacher. And you treat it like that. You don't scroll. Don't do nothing. Sit your phone down, watch the class. All you see is you and your teacher. This is from the etiquette of a student. This is respect. If you was right in front of that person, you wouldn't scroll. We have to discipline ourselves to learn the etiquette of an Islamic student. Westernized students, we don't have any respect for our teachers and or the knowledge that we're learning. But Islam teaches you that, and this is the beauty. Even before you get into the classroom, let's learn the etiquette of how we carry ourselves in the classroom. And the first thing in etiquette is your niyah, having the intention to seek to learn proper adab so that I can be a proper student, so that I can learn this knowledge of the deen, so that I can be a better worshiper to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It still starts with the niyah. So, so if you don't believe that you're not trying to be one of the strangers, then you're denying what the Prophet ﷺ has told us. This is the reality. If you want to follow the majority and you don't want to be a stranger, and you don't believe what the Prophet ﷺ said. He said, glad tidings in paradise to the stranger. Al ghuraba. Why do you not want to be the ghuraba? Be a stranger. Be a stranger in this dunya. Be a stranger amongst these so-called popular Muslim groups and everything. Don't follow the status quo. Most people who are the majority are incorrect. That doesn't mean, oh, I know everything. What that means when the Sheikh was saying that was he's saying that following the commercial thing, the popular thing, is usually incorrect. And it's true. You can't learn your Islam on social media, watching what other people do, because they may not be doing something that is correct. Learn for yourself and then practice your Islam to the best of your ability. If that person want to take certain types of pictures and you don't, okay, you don't got to condemn. If she wearing makeup, you know, mashallah. At least you know what the ruling is on that and how to do it and how not to do it, and you leave it at that. You don't have to be a part of that. That brother, he throwing up middle fingers and he doing all this, but he supposed to be Muslim. And look how he be carrying himself. MashaAllah, may Allah guide the brother and work on his adat. And be grateful that Allah taught you better, that you know about the preservation of all the limbs, that you have a heightened sense of top of where you're trying to work on your custom, you're trying to work on yourself. You are traversing upon the path of character rectification. Everybody's not on what you want. The majority are never going to be on what. When the Prophet ﷺ came with the deen of Islam, he was not the majority. The majority was not trying to hear that. It was a small group of them, and then it grew because you can't stop the hype. But even now, yeah, there's a lot of Muslims, but everybody's not a believer. Everybody doesn't know. A lot of people do not know their religion. This is the world we're living in now. We're living in a world where we're studying elementary text in college. This is how far off from knowledge we are. These are books and things that were taught to children in their time. This is the level of knowledge that a kid was learning. So how smart were the kids then? Now they could tell you everything about a smartphone, but could tell you nothing about their deeds. They know nothing about the spirit of the Prophet. They know nothing about the biographies of the companions. They know nothing about Awliya, about Salihin. And more importantly, they know nothing about their prayers. He could tell you everything little baby's done for the last week and a half. He knows every detail of the rapper he likes. Ask him what are the obligations, the conditions, and the impermissibilities of the salah. Tell me that and explain it to me. He cannot. Most adults can. This is the world we live in. But he a Muslim. Muslim name, Muslim outfits, he got the look, he do all of that. He don't eat pork and all that. But he doesn't, his prayer's not even sound. He don't even know the proper way to make wudu. He don't even know the proper water to use for his ablution. He says, this is for your own benefit, for you to be able to worship Allah. You don't know. But we have to have the right intention, and we have to learn. Sheikh Salih is always saying that. Rahimullah is always saying it. You must learn your basics. Learn the basics. The stuff we learn, and this is basic stuff, but look, we only 8 chapters in, and we've been studying this text for about a month and some change. This is heavy stuff. It really is heavy for us because it's so new to us. We shouldn't belittle it because it's an introductory course, or because the author wrote it for children. That was children in ancient times. Children in ancient 16-year-olds was leading armies. Achilles, the great Achilles, he was 17. What's the average 17 doing now? He can barely hold a job. So, there were certain scholars given fatwa at 20 years old. Imam Bukhari had already known 500, what they said, a million or half a million hadiths by the time he was 20. That's a lot of hadiths. This is the difference in the level of scholarship and how Islam was then to now. This is what we're trying to get back to. We're trying to revive these Andalusians. We're trying to revive the Timbuktus. We're trying to revive the Sokoto Caliphate. We're trying to revive the Umayyad, the Abed, all these different caliphates. We're trying to revive them, revive the feeling that they had when Islam was on top, when Islam was in control, when people loved knowledge and respected scholars, and people were on a higher level of morals and ethics. This is where we're trying to get the community to. That's what the 10-point Medina program is about. Rebuilding our communities by rebuilding ourselves. That's what the Shehu did. He built a community by building individuals. If we all start to do better within ourselves, it will only make the outward community better as a whole, but it starts with ourselves. So I don't want to be too much more long-winded. I just wanted to share a little bit of benefit that I thought was beautiful from Sheikh Saleh Rahimullah about Niyah and how we, connect. It made me think about that when we were talking about the intentionally putting yourself in Janabah. And this is something that we want to stay away from, and Allah protect us from it. So we should just always uh, check our intention and make sure that it's always sincerely for Allah in everything that you do, and then learn before you do it. Islam is a comprehensive way of life. It's not just religious acts and rituals. That's a part of it, but it's your life. The Sharia is the law of life. How we deal with everything in every aspect of life comes under a rule. And we must learn those rulings and learn those foundations and the principles behind them in order for us to be better Muslims and be better human beings and have a better life while you're on this earth and a better hereafter, inshallah. So with that, I will leave you, close out with that. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والمتابعين آمين.